I am super excited to be here today and to welcome Dr. Nancy Dome. Nancy, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And we are so excited that you will be joining our lineup at our School Administrators of Iowa annual conference. It Starts With Us, which will be held this coming end of July, beginning of August, July 31st, August 1st. You will join us on July 31st, and your topic will be implicit bias. So can you tell us a little bit about what makes you so passionate about your topic? I know you've spent a lot of time working with this topic and just the whole issue of equity and social justice. So love to hear a little bit more about how you got started and your passion.
Yeah, I think my passion for implicit bias really just generated from my own experiences being a Black woman growing up in Los Angeles in an environment that was really diverse. And actually, I believe civil rights worked, so my whole childhood was in this environment where we had friends from different races. We knew the difference between a Peruvian from a Mexican, a Chinese, person from someone with Japanese descent. And so, you just grew up knowing that. And then I went to college in Arizona and kind of realized that that it only worked in my little microcosm, that it wasn't really something that was lived elsewhere. So through this journey, I really started to think about, why do people react to me? I mean, it really was a personal place first, right? So why do people react to me the way they do? Kind of understanding the historical implications of race in this country and our inability to talk about it. So you fast forward now, and implicit bias is such an integral part of why we have the issues we have. And because it's implicit and not necessarily conscious, we're not even necessarily aware of what we're doing and how that's manifesting in our behaviors and how we're treating people and how we're, just behaving in other people's presence, especially those who don't share the same background. And so, in EPIC, we really, understood that the work starts with us, right? And so I can't be continually focused on what's wrong with my students or what's wrong with my district without recognizing that I'm part of that. And so how my questions become, how do I contribute to, the failures of our students in the district? What is my role in perpetuating a system that could be potentially, disproportionate or creating disproportionate results? And so this notion of looking at implicit bias and just being willing to reflect on our own identity and how we show up and the impact of our decisions and our behavior on others has to be a part of the equity conversation. If we continue to look external, we're going to miss the mark because each one of us is a participant.
So you fed right into our conference theme. It starts with us. So I love this topic. And I too am just so intrigued by studying implicit bias for not only for ethnicity, race, background, but it cuts across so many different things in our behavior, as you mentioned, that we aren't even aware of, and then how that impedes successful relationships. And so I think so much of the answer is in awareness, and I feel we as leaders are in such a wonderful place to be able to support our teachers and our staff and our students in moving forward so that everyone truly has equal opportunity and access and to be successful. So I'm so excited that this works for you to join us. I love this topic and have a lot of passion for it too.
Yeah.
What might you anticipate would be a couple of takeaways for those of our participants who attend your session?
So one of the things that we do in the session is a strategy or protocol that we call compassionate dialogue. And it's about how do you engage in difficult conversations, but do it with compassion, right? With the end goal not being that I convince you that I'm right or that I prove that you're wrong, but the idea that we're engaging together. And so part of us being able to identify our biases is also being able to honestly talk about them, right? And so, one of the takeaways is that we start to identify some of the biases we carry and how they might manifest. And so start thinking about those things. And then also start talking about them. And I think that's the biggest piece is once I identify it, now what? So I realize this. I realize that I might have a little fear around this, what do I do with that? And so the compassionate dialogue piece really allows us to begin to engage differently with each other. Again, if I'm afraid of someone because of the way they look or their religious background and all the things that are kind of fed to me, it's not about punishing yourself for those fears, because we've been trained that way, but it's about bringing them up and being able to discuss them. And also, what you said, this idea of the relationships being really crucial. So how do we understand that through building relationships, we actually can get to dismantling, a lot of the biases that we hold, because the relationships and those personal connections are actually what contradict the thing that we're just constantly subconsciously being fed.
This sounds like such an empowering session, being able to walk out feeling comfortable having the conversation, feeling like I have a way in which to approach some of the challenges that I may or may not have recognized existed within my building, within my district. And so when we had talked prior to this, that was one of the things that just resonated so strongly with me, is that, wow, attendees for this session will really have some tools in their pocket to go back to their districts, their buildings, and hopefully have some authentic, real conversations move them forward. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah. And that's a goal, but I will say that I'm not sure you're going to walk away comfortable.
It's not going to happen in 75 minutes.
I want to be clear. And I'm not even sure that the goal is about comfort as much as it is about allowing a place for discomfort to be normalized, and to understand that there's a difference between discomfort and danger, right? And being unsafe. And I think a lot of times people won't enter these conversations, and when you ask them why, they say, I don't feel safe. And really, a lot of times what that means is I don't feel comfortable. And so how do we, one, get clear in our language? There's a difference between safety and discomfort, and making that distinguishable difference, but then it's also about, like, how do I sit in that discomfort and still engage?
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's a really important clarification. Yeah. And you're right. It's about being willing to be comfortable with the discomfort, because through that discomfort, we get to a better place. So thank you. That's an important note.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I am super excited to have you here on July 31st for 2 sessions, one in the morning and a repeat in the afternoon. I think our colleagues are in for a real powerful opportunity to shift some things. So I appreciate you very much, and I'm glad you'll be with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Nancy. Talk to you later.